Okay, so imagine trying to plan a road trip with friends who can't agree on the destination, except instead of a road trip, it's a multi-billion-dollar oil pipeline, and instead of friends, it's provincial premiers and the Prime Minister. Welcome to the latest chapter of Canada's never-ending pipeline saga, where everyone suddenly agrees that maybe, just maybe, we don't have to go northwest after all. Here's the breaking development. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith both came out this week saying they're open to alternate routes for getting Alberta oil to Asian markets. And get this, it doesn't necessarily have to end at BC's northwest coast. Smith told reporters in Ottawa on Thursday that several alternatives are already emerging, which is political speak for, we're keeping our options open because this is complicated. So what are these magical alternate routes? Smith mentioned a few possibilities, including expanding Enbridge's main line and finding creative ways to use old Keystone assets. Her exact quote was, "North, south, east, west, we're willing to go in every direction," which honestly sounds like someone trying every possible route on Google Maps after the first one shows too much traffic. Now, here's where the history gets interesting. Smith and BC Premier David Eby have been going back and forth on this issue for months. Back in June, Eby said he wouldn't support a new pipeline because the Trans Mountain Expansion project already exists. Smith's response? She'd convince him. Spoiler alert, the convincing is still a work in progress. Fast forward to November, and we got what everyone called a historic memorandum of understanding between Carney and Smith. This MOU outlined conditions for a new oil pipeline to the Pacific. Alberta agreed to negotiate an industrial carbon pricing agreement by April 2026 with a price floor of $130 per ton. In exchange, the federal government agreed not to implement the oil and gas emissions cap, suspend clean electricity regulations in Alberta, and potentially make an exemption to the federal tanker ban. That tanker ban is the real sticking point here. Enacted in 2019, it prohibits oil tankers carrying more than 12,500 metric tons of crude from docking at ports on the BC North Coast. Eby has been firmly opposed to lifting it, which creates a bit of a problem if you're trying to ship oil from that exact location. Smith's current plan is to present a proposal to the Major Projects Office by June. She's confident that once approved, private sector companies will step up to actually build the thing. There's just one tiny detail. No private proponent has come forward yet. It's like planning a party and assuming someone will volunteer to host, except the party costs billions of dollars and takes years to set up. Meanwhile, Eby's response to Smith's latest comments was diplomatic. He said Smith is committed to keeping BC updated on her progress, and he looks forward to that. Reading between the lines, that's the political equivalent of, "Sure, let me know how that goes." All of this came up during discussions in Ottawa, where premiers met for the Council of the Federation and sat down with Carney to talk trade amid the ongoing situation with the United States. Smith and Eby both had separate meetings with the Prime Minister, and pipelines were definitely on the agenda. Eby described his conversation as very civil and borderline friendly, which in politics means nobody yelled. Carney emphasized that the MOU includes many other provisions beyond pipelines, including cooperation on data centers, nuclear power, and inner ties. He pointed out that the agreement describes it as a bitumen pipeline to Asian markets without specifying exact routes, which leaves plenty of room for flexibility. He also stressed that feasibility depends on multiple factors, starting with Indigenous support, along with technical and economic considerations. So where does this leave us? Alberta's exploring every possible direction for a pipeline. BC's premier is cautiously watching from the sidelines, and the federal government is saying the route isn't set in stone. It's Canadian compromise at its finest, where everyone agrees to keep talking while the details get worked out. What's your take on this pipeline situation? Should Canada be exploring all possible routes, or is this adding unnecessary complexity to an already challenging project? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is far from over. And if you want to stay on top of every twist and turn in Canadian politics, hit that subscribe button. We're breaking down the latest news multiple times a day here at Canadian Breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.